Vibrate Higher Daily, Chapter 3, page 113. A friend is someone who invests in your healing, gives you space to work on your vision and goals, pauses to check in on you, asks how they can best support you, calls you out on your mess, genuinely celebrates your progress. Trees, plants, flowers, herbs, minerals, air, and water all possess a greater purpose for being here. Each is part of a greater thing constantly happening for the greater good of all beings, nourishing, sustaining, and helping other beings outside of themselves to thrive and grow. We are created with the same potential to sustain and maintain life for others outside of ourselves. We're a part of the same ongoing, ever-present, and always working ecosystem in unseen ways that are so subtle that we cannot feel or recognize them. But there are countless other ways that are very seen, obvious, felt, and clear to us. We humans are part of one big ecosystem. We are having a symbiotic experience with one another throughout our life and times here on Earth. No getting around it or escaping it. It's happening. And vibrating higher daily and living your power is how you thrive in the midst of it all. The right people over the wrong people. Throughout my journey, I've realized that often my greatest joys and greatest pains come from other people. I'm not alone. The most common questions I get from fellow students of life revolve around relationships with others. In the field of chemistry, we know that certain things do and don't mix well together. Certain things combined become toxic matter, while other things combined become supportive tonics and remedies, higher functioning matter. People, opportunities, and relationships work this way too. My usage of the words the wrong people does not mean that the people themselves are wrong, but that the way they interact with you chemically and vibrationally impacts you, your soul, your goals, your journey, and your health and well-being in a negative way. They're not compatible with you. In chemistry, what's wrong for one element or compound can be right for another. So it's all about observing and knowing the right and wrong mixture of matter and energies in your life's laboratory. And at times, on your journey, you'll find that what may be right for one person may not be right and best for you. You are the chemist of your life, and through vibrational awareness, you can become more empowered, even masterful, in this role. How you combine with people and opportunities with your life can be done with higher purpose, skill, and benefit to your higher good. You distinguish between what's for you and what's not for you with greater accuracy, even speed. The right people bring your soul medicine. The problem with letting the wrong people in. After I had left the abusive relationship in my 20s, I thought I had moved on from the wrong people. But what often happens to victims of abuse was happening to me. I left the abusive relationship, but I still hadn't left the mindset created by the relationship or by the unresolved spiritual wounds that had gotten me there in the first place. As a victim of traumatic circumstances, I fell into the spectrum of those who spiral downward after their experiences with trauma, and in time, I lost my way even more. My wounds were still fresh and exposed, and the person who showed up next in my life saw me in my weakened vibrational state and took advantage of me. Instead of being protected or rescued, as I so yearned to be, I was abused and taken advantage of all the more. My suicide attempt was partly because of the presence of this wrong relationship in my life. I've shared this part of my story publicly and learned that I'm not alone. We are not alone. Being around people who hurt us and don't deserve us, from toxic friends to dysfunctional family members to emotionally or physically abusive partners, has consequences. But we can forgive ourselves, forgive them, because holding unforgiveness can turn into an inner energetic toxin, and move on with better people toward a better life in peace and harmony. Many of us have some aspect of our story we desire to improve, to edit, to transcend, or to redeem ourselves from. Maybe it's still a tender area for you to touch on and work on. It was for me for years. But I've learned that on some level, we're all putting thought to rising above our old narratives, to reconfiguring our lives. Even when we don't realize it, healing is a unifying and liberating thing. What I thought were only wasted years in my early 20s, letting the wrong people in, being involved in the wrong things, and feeling lost, confused, misguided, and depressed, turned out to be defining years. My mindset at the time, reminiscent of South Central LA street culture, was this: do whatever you have to do to survive. A side hustle here and there, toxic friends here and there, and a lost path all came with the territory. Looking back, the pattern of creating social connections around pain, survival, and dysfunction instead of higher vibrations was a low vibrational cycle for me. Out of desperation, boredom, or loneliness, you can be tempted to entertain the wrong relationships. Remember your goals and rise above. Forgive yourself for all of the relationships and friendships you settled for when you weren't in your power. I send my younger self so much love, bless her heart. At that time, she was lost and in much need of higher awareness, vibrations, and guidance, which would eventually, through divine intervention, show up. She let the wrong people in only because she, like many of us, felt alone and misunderstood, and she was not in her power. She didn't have the right people in her life, and that's a feeling that many of us share. We all desire to have the right people, the right friends and relationships in our lives. Wherever you are not alone, dear one. Lots of self-love, self-forgiveness, inner power, and grace. And along with that, humor. Remember, finding the humor in it all is soul cleansing. Laughter is healing. This intentional way of living will help you make choices with a lighter heart and with more clarity. It also makes it easier to respect your boundaries and your higher good. The wrong people make you compromise your truth and higher good, are repeatedly unreliable and inconsiderate, don't check in on you, downplay your opinions, feelings, ideas, and good news, don't want to see you grow and rise above, and instead keep you stuck in negative cycles with them, can reverse your progress in self-care, don't respect your boundaries, don't work on their inner lives in any progressive, productive, or deliberate way, don't grow with you in a harmonious way, don't reciprocate the energy, support, and love you give, don't live with integrity, discourage and distract you from vibrating higher and living in your power. With work and transformation, I no longer put myself in situations where I compromise my boundaries, truth, power, or authentic feelings. These days, I sustain my soul's integrity with delight and with way more composure and ease. The more you live in your power, the stronger a force you become in your life. How divine. The right relationships are like pieces to the puzzle of your life. They fit in just the right place, as only they can. The contrast between the right relationships and the wrong ones can and should make us acknowledge and appreciate all the more any and all of the great and healthy people and relationships in our lives. Have patience. Sometimes the right people take time. Though many of the right people enter our lives seamlessly, some take time. Some relationships need adjustment to fit our life puzzle or chemistry. The best and right relationships survive this process. The ones that we try to force to fit often end up hurting, unfulfilling, or disappointing us. These are friendships and relationships we must let go of. Your highest good is to move on and beyond, keeping in mind that you're a chemist at work. And as Don Miguel Ruiz teaches in his book, The Four Agreements, we can choose not to personalize the outcome. Remember, it's all chemistry. It's not personal. Phew, how freeing is that? My sweet mother was one of those people who took time to be a healthy presence in my life. My younger years with her were rocky and hard to journey through at times, but I kept on loving her, as did my siblings, and as she did us. During her troubled fourth marriage, I was always waiting for her to heal and to come to her full senses so she could love me right, be more emotionally present, and be who and what I needed her to be as a mother. By the grace of the divine, that day would indeed come. She finally vibrated out of the marriage that wasn't serving her. She rose above, into her power, and she let the toxic relationship go. And it wasn't until after that last divorce, which was her dark night of the soul, that she got it. She transformed and reconfigured herself, and she became the mother I had been longing for. For the rest of her life, she lived happily single and became the sweet, endearing, and soul-nourishing grandmother and mother of our dreams. She took her power back. She reconfigured. She vibrated higher and inspired us all. Life is complicated. People are complicated. Sometimes relationships take time to become beautiful and functional, and other times they simply never blossom or function right, at all. If a shoe doesn't fit, you naturally move on to find one that does. The right relationships and friendships are like that. Don't force the wrong things to fit, and certainly don't mix things together that shouldn't be mixed. It's all about, say it out loud and unapologetically with me, chemistry. Keep in mind that as the chemist of your life, your laboratory is your home, your health, your goals, your environment, and your relationships. The right people. Having the right people around you builds up and creates a sustainable and harmonious environment, which adds extra goodness to your life. I made it through the most difficult terrains of my journey with the support of the right people. I felt then, as I do today, grateful to be valued, seen, heard, nurtured, safely held in community, and loved by these people. When I was most broken and lost, it was others who helped me pull my heart and life back together, no matter whether I asked for it or not. In my tender and fragile moments, they hugged me, softly caressed my back, or conversed with a comforting tone. Without judgment, they stayed with me on some of my most perplexing, wearying, and frustrating days. Amid unharmonious vibrations from within or without, they helped me to find my note and reharmonize my life and mind. My friendship goals and intentions are to return the love, to make sure that I reciprocate the soulful giving that is offered to me. This balance matters to me. It's important that others feel in return the support and love they gave me. Everybody wins when a relationship is in harmony and balance. I'm on my way. These 4 words let you know it's real. When my heart was in pieces in the summer of 2018, as my mother lay in a coma before me, on the verge of death, one of my best friends, Devin, immediately responded with these words. He was on tour, many hours and states away from us, and he found his way across all of those states and hours to come and sit by my side in the hospital and help hold my broken heart together. His working out whatever was necessary to leave the tour, book a flight, track down a rental car, and show up with food and blankets all at the midnight hour with nothing but the Most High moving through him. Devin stayed right by my and my siblings' side while my mother was still with us in the hospital's palliative care unit to a couple of days after her homegoing, which he spoke so beautifully and movingly at. This is high vibrational friendship. But the right people aren't just the ones who make dramatic gestures to help us put our lives back together. Sometimes they are the simply fun and joyful presences in our lives. The right people can remind us that comedy can be found in the serious, mundane, and stressful moments too. A good laugh has untriggered me on many occasions and brought me back to myself. As Dr. Seuss says to us all, funny things are everywhere. Thank the divine for the people who help us find them. Whenever we can't do it for ourselves, other people show up with a life raft, a tow truck, a joke, or at times a sharp sword to help untangle us, set us free, and save us somewhere on our journey. Some people become your friend from a higher place. They organically come closer to your heart and soul than most. You feel this closeness profoundly, and it feels like coming home every time. Not every relationship has to be like this, but to have this or to be this for another soul is like journeying with an angel. Looking through a spiritual lens, I realize where my help comes from. The divine was and is the current moving through this person and that person in our lives at such times. The right people. Naturally bring your soul medicine. Listen and sincerely lean toward you in supportive ways. Give you the sweet or hard truth or both when necessary. Are reliable and considerate. Check in on you. Inspire and positively change you out of your comfort zone. Respect your boundaries. Grow and vibrate higher with you. Work on their inner lives in progressive, productive, or mindful ways. Don't downplay your opinions, feelings, ideas, or good news. Genuinely celebrate your success and progress. Reinforce your need for self-care. Reciprocate the energy, support, and love you give. Live in integrity. Encourage you to vibrate higher and live your power. Peace and blessings to you all.